From easy pose and hands are in prayer, transition into hero pose. You're kneeling on the floor, thighs perpendicular to the floor, touching your knees together, sitting back on your feet and hands are in prayer position. From hero's pose, come up onto your knees, extend the left leg straight out to the left side, left hand comfortable on left leg, right arm comes up and over for a side stretch. Twist a bit more to the right side to open up a little bit more. Untwist, return to center. Left leg comes back into hero pose. From hero pose, come up on your knees. Left leg comes out to the side, transitioning to angel gate pose. Right hand comes down to the outside of the right thigh for support, as the left hand comes up and over for a side stretch. Eyes looking up at your left fingers for a deeper stretch. Return to center, left leg comes back to hero pose. Next is the Sage Vasishtha pose. From hero pose, come up onto your knees. Left leg comes straight out to the left side. Right hand on the earth. Left hand comes up and over, perpendicular to the floor. Your eyes may look at your left hand. From here, raise your left leg parallel to the floor. Hold this position, do not hold your breath. Then bring your leg down. Bring your body to center, return to hero's pose. We're transitioning to Sage Vasishtha pose. Step up with your left leg in front of you. Right hand is on the earth on the right side for support. The right leg comes straight out in alignment with the body, while the left hand shoots straight up. If it's part of your practice today, your eyes look up at your left hand. Unfold, bringing your left hands down on the mat, where you're back into hero pose. Hands at the heart in prayer position. Transition into child's pose, hands forward, feet touching, knees out, forehead on the mat. From child's pose, come into a side plank on the right side. Feet are straight out, hip off the mat when in side plank. Right hand's on the floor, left hand comes straight up. Raise your top leg for 3. 1, 2, and 3. Return your hip to the mat. Return to side plank while top leg is in fig tree position. Hands up to the sky. Breathe. Now straighten your leg and bring down your hip. Return to side planks on the right side for hip dips for 3 counts. Hands up to the sky. Hip dip 1, 2, up, down, 3, up, and rest. Come down on your forearm. Hip dips 1, 2, 3, and down. Take a break. While in side plank on your forearms, bring your top foot in front and behind for 3 sets, 2 and 3. Come up in a high side plank so your right hand will be supporting your body. The left hand will come straight up towards the sky, hips off the mat. The bottom leg will kick forward and behind of the top foot. Forward, behind, 2 more sets. Forward, behind, forward and behind. Hips and hands come back down to the mat. On your forearm in a low plank, lift up your hip, point and bounce your bottom foot 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Return your hip on the mat. While in a low side plank on your forearm, bend your top left leg and try to touch your top left elbow to your top left knee for 3. 1, 2, and 3. Let's come back to hero's pose, hands in prayer, where we prepare to repeat the sequence on the other side. From hero's pose, come off of your feet. Bring your right foot out to your right side. Left knee is bent. Right hand is resting on your leg as your left hand comes up and over like a rainbow for a side bend. Bring your right foot in, return to Hero's Pose, hands in prayer. From Hero's Pose, bring your right foot out to your right side, right hand resting on your right leg, left hand coming over like a rainbow, but your upper torso is going to do a further stretch to the left side for more of a chest opener, also known as open angled gate pose. Bring your right leg in, return to Hero's Pose. Now for Angel Gate Pose. From Hero's Pose, you're going to come off of your feet, bring your right leg out to your right side, bring your left hand to the outer part of your left leg for support onto the earth. Swing your right arm over like a rainbow. Eyes may look at your right hand. Return to Hero's Pose, bringing your right leg in and your butt resting on your feet, while hands at your heart in prayer. Next will be the Sage Vasistha pose, where from Hero's Pose you bring your right leg out to the side, your left hand is on the earth for support, right arm is straight up to the sky. Your eyes may look at your hands here if this is part of your practice today. Then raise your right leg parallel to the floor for balancing Sage Vasistha pose. Bring your right hand and your right leg down, bring your right leg in, returning to Hero's Pose, and hands at the heart in prayer position. Now preparing for Sage Vasistha pose, bend and step up with your right foot. Bring the left back foot to the side in alignment with your body. Your left hand is on the earth supporting your body. Hip is off the ground, right arm is straight up into the sky. Bring your left and right knee to the mat for Hero's Pose, hands in prayer. Transition into Child's Pose, feet together, knees out wide, arms extended in front of you, forehead to the mat. Next, we'll be transitioning onto a side plank on our left side. Both feet straight out to your side, aligned with your upper body. Hip is off the floor for a high plank. Left end is straight and supporting you. Right arm is on your side. Lift your top leg for 3. 1, 2, and 3. Return your hip on the mat. Hands supporting you. Lift your hip off the mat. Your right foot in a fig tree, above or below your knee. Then bring your hip back down on the mat. Next, we're going to transition into a high side plank with hip bounces or hip dips. In a high plank with the left hand supporting you, bring the top right foot forward and back for a count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Bring your hip down on the mat, take a break. Next, you'll be in a side plank where you're bringing the bottom leg forward and back. Left hand is supporting you, hip off the floor. Your bottom leg goes forward and back for 1, forward and back for 2, one last time, forward and back for 3. Bring the hip down. Now in a low side plank on your forearms, raise the hip, point and bounce your bottom foot 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Bring the hip back down on the mat. Rest here for a moment before you transition into a high side plank where you bend and bring your right top knee to meet your right elbow for a set of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Rest the hip. Slowly bringing your knees and your feet in, returning to Hero's Pose, hands in prayer at the heart. Being grateful to get through the difficult sequence. And now sit in easy pose with hands in the prayer position at the heart.